First of all, Happy New Year to you all, and welcome back to my channel. And for those who are new to the channel, I'm Özden, and in 2022 I'm still going to try to become a bookworm, and I'm still going to try to inspire you to do the same. I'm really excited for this video, and the reason for that is that not only is this year not 2021, but it's also the first year that I'm going to read for a full year, so I can set myself skyrocketing high goals for my reading. And in this video I'm going to talk about the goals I have for my reading, but I'm also going to talk about some goals that I have for this channel this year. So I hope you enjoy it. So why do I even have a yearly goal for my reading? Well, that's an excellent question, Øystein. And the reason is, of course, that I'm motivated by reading goals, and last year it really worked. So I think that this year I might succeed in having a bigger goal. But in addition to having a larger reading goal, I would also have several smaller goals. So instead of just waiting until the end of the year or until you reach the big number of books you want to read in a year, I can sort of tick off the smaller goals in the course of the year. And hopefully that will be kind of motivating as well. I started reading in May last year, and after a couple of months I'd reached my reading goal for last year. And since I reached my reading goal in July, August, I have thought about what my reading goal for this year should be. And of course it's higher, but how high should it be? It should be so high that I think that I can do it, but it should also be so high that I think that I have to work for it some. And I think I found the right number, because my reading goal for 2022 is to read 53 books. And why is it 53? Well, it's because then I would have read more than one book a week. Ta-da! Ta-da! It's only so I can brag to people that I've read more than one book a week for a whole year. And I would be very proud if I managed to do this, and I'm still not sure if this is manageable. Before I started reading, I also thought that reading 52 books a year sounded so cool, like an achievement of sorts, a pretty big achievement. And now I think that 53 I would have read more than what I earlier would have thought was crazy, and that I think will feel good when the time comes. If the time comes. It's a goal. If I manage to keep the same speed as I did in my highly motivated year 2021, I would almost reach my goal for this year. And that means that I might be picking some smaller books in general. I think my average page count was 347 for 2021, and that's really not bad, but I rarely read small books. And I think I will need some small books to get me through this year. Especially when I think about my goal number 2 for this year. And my second goal is to read 5 books above 500 pages. And the reason for this is that it makes it easier to choose the big books, and choosing the big books maybe earlier in the year, so I sort of finish them and I'm en route for the rest of the year. Because there are really some great big books, and I've made a video earlier about great big books that I want to read. And so I have to start somewhere, and that's why this is one of the goals this year. My next video on this channel will actually be the video about where I talk about the 5 big books that I want to read for this year. And it will be the only TBR video for this year, I think. I hope. But I must say that I really like the thought of reading big books and being one of the people that read big books. But that also has to mean that I'm going to read some smaller books this year, but we'll come back to that later. When I look back at Goodreads and my TBR and the books that I first thought I would read, they're nearly all non-fiction books, and that's why this year I'm going to read at least 5 non-fiction books. The reason for this is, of course, that I love to learn, and through non-fiction books you learn stuff, of course. But they are also highly entertaining, many of them, and that helps. Kind of weird thinking back, because I started out reading some non-fiction books and I enjoyed it, but then I just fell in love with fiction and thought, this is the life I want to be living. But I think non-fiction also is for me. I just have to choose the non-fiction books. And now for my next goal, and the goal I'm most anxious about. And that is, I want to be reading 5 authors from 5 countries I haven't read anything from yet. That actually sounded right. I've sort of struggled with formulating myself when making this goal, but at least reading 5 authors from countries I haven't read anything from yet. The reason for this is, of course, if you try to find authors from countries you don't really know a lot about, you find the most critically acclaimed authors at first, and those write about serious topics often. And the serious topics are all right, but it's not that engaging for me always. I think it's a higher fail ratio, for me at least, when trying to find these authors. But this is something I have to explore throughout the year, so I might be surprised, and I hope I am surprised. And I really hope that I read some cool books that not that many other people have read. Hipster Øystein. Often books just come to me naturally because I find books that I like and then get suggestions and I sort of go in that direction, or I read a book and I finish the book and someone suggests a new book, and then it's just sorting itself out. Reading authors from new places and with new perspectives is a part of my journey and a thing I think is important. I have to say something that I find mildly amusing, and that's when I tried to make my own reading goals. I look at people that has read a lot of books and maybe they have some inspiration, and some people have this goal that I have, but specifically reading fewer American authors. So they might end up reading fewer American authors, but they exchange all the American authors with British authors. And in my head, as a Western European, that isn't that different. So that's why I put my goal to 5 countries that I haven't read before, because then I know that I would really read something different from what I've read before. And now over to a segment that I'm really looking forward to exploring, and that's children's books, or as I like to call it, short books that are easy to read and I understand. I should say that I feel that this is kind of cheating, but I also feel it's okay, because I need my short books and easily understood books. I think that I'm one of those who can really enjoy easy literature. So my goal is to read 3 children's novels at least, and I think I will manage. I think I already planned which 3 that's going to be. Of course, I read children's novels before, but that's a long time ago. I remember I enjoyed it. I think I will enjoy it even more this time. So 3 of those. And then the last goal I have for my reading this year is reading 1 graphic novel. And I have no clue what that entails. I just see a lot of graphic novels on Instagram and so many pretty pages and pictures. People are really hooked on graphic novels, it seems. Or at least that's my impression. So I thought I would read 1 graphic novel this year. I haven't really decided if this is going to be a graphic novel I could reread, so I could buy a graphic novel that comes from another book that I actually read, and then that could be my first and only reread. If you have good suggestions for which graphic novel I could start with, give me a comment below. Lastly, I will say that I do not have any shelf goals for this year, reading out my shelves and not buying any more books, because I'm really motivated by the thought of buying more books, so I have something pretty to look at. Often I feel like the right book isn't there when I want to read it, and this is of course a made up thought that has no root in reality, but that's my feeling, so that's an excuse I make for myself to buy more books, and I'm happy with that situation. I have a lot of shelf space nowadays, so I really need the motivation in buying more books. And now over to my channel goals, and what will becoming a bookworm become in 2022. And I have some plans. The first one is of course making 6 videos a month, as I've done so far. I'm really enjoying making these videos, and it takes up a lot of time, but I'm sort of really enjoying the process, and it's really fun to interact with you, so that I have to continue doing. I think the ultimate goal for this channel will be to enjoy making videos, because that's the most important thing, and making myself read more books, as my goal is. But also I thought that one of the bigger goals for this channel could be that 1 person of you read more books based on watching my videos. That would be an enormous joy. So I think that should be a goal for this channel this year. Also, I'm going to do at least one live session. So I will log on to my computer one day and rant in front of camera to participants out there. I don't know how many Teams meetings you've held without any people participating on the other end, they not having a microphone, etc. That is a gruesome experience. So we'll see. Maybe I'll postpone that part of this journey till December this year. Who knows? And the last goal I've written is to make an interview with one person about their relationship to books, because I really like talking about books with people and hearing about their thoughts about specific books, but also their journey with books and reading in general. So I will find the right person, or the right person will find me. Time will tell. So these were the goals for my channel and my reading this year, and I am really psyched. I thought I would visualize my goals for myself this year, and if you have suggestions for how I could visualize my reading goals for myself this year, please let me know, so I could motivate myself during the year. And as always, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'm very pleased to have you with me on this channel in 2022. See you in the next video. Bye!